Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Please don't forget to follow Urbanistica on the different social media platforms, and also let's connect on LinkedIn. Big thanks to Urbanistica podcast partner Avery. Avery is an international engineering and design company providing sustainable solutions in the fields of energy, industry, and infrastructure. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. Today we have a new episode, we have a new story, storyteller all the way from Barcelona. I have the pleasure to welcome you, Xavi, to Urbanistica podcast. Hey, and welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mustafa. Pleasure is mine.
How are you doing?
Yeah, quite well. A little bit busy. Those days in Barcelona, we have a lot of projects ongoing right now, but also happy to have the opportunity to be part of this very inspiring and interesting project that we are pushing right now in Barcelona.
That's amazing. And I would love, and the listeners would love to hear more about it. And before we do that, let's hear more about you. How would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us about your passion.
Yeah, it's not easy because probably everyone today have different approaches to himself. But yes, I'm an architect urbanist. I was born in 1975 in a middle-sized city in the regional metropolitan area of Barcelona. The city is called Terrassa. It's a city with 200,000 population, more or less. And I was born also in a working class neighborhood. For me, it was very important because my first experience with the city and the streets and the public space was really, really interesting. But I was lucky to have the opportunity to study architecture at the Polytechnical University in Catalonia. And since I was graduated in 2002, I had the opportunity to dedicate my professional career to urbanism mainly, and also had the opportunity to become professor at the same school. And actually, I am associate professor at the urban planning department in the UPC, Polytechnical University of Catalonia. And of course, I am also a father of two kids, two little kids still. They are 8 and 10 years old. And it's very important because when they arrive, my approach and my way to understand cities completely change. And when the kids appear in your life, suddenly you realize that there are a lot of things in cities and public space that you didn't realize before, and they are also very, very important. So beyond my love for them, of course, they were also very, very important in order to be a key moment in my professional career, of course.
What a big journey, especially and during the university. Started as student and now you're a professor as well.
Yeah, it's nice because when I am teaching, I am always recording some of my professors, right? Trying to improve their performance at the school.
Yeah.
And well, trying to repeat the good things that I learned from them and trying not to repeat the bad ones. But it's very interesting also to realize that we are in a very important moment that is changing so many things about how we learn, how we teach, and how we apply urbanism. And there are some very important and deep questions that we need to also to rethink about which is most important in city, and how is the, I would say very important, how is the social level crucial issue in urbanism right now. So I remember at my time, it was basically a question of not architecture, but objectual architecture in city. It was most important, the shape and of the city. And I would say that right now, the citizens has reached a central position when we are thinking about cities. And I think it's a good question.
I think it's also very, very, very good. And I'm very happy also to talk with you about this more today. But tell me and tell the listeners, you're not only a professor as well, you have another job.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm currently I'm chief architect of Barcelona City Council since October 2019. So 2 years till now, and of course I consider myself a very lucky person, and for me it's a privilege to have the opportunity to and also responsibility to be in charge of I would say to define which is the urban model of this, and I also would say this very amazing city like Barcelona.
Yeah, it's well, I will say you're a hard worker, not only a lucky person. Lucky maybe it's in Barcelona, but like a hard worker because you worked up to this place and or to this position. So, and also you mentioned now October 2019, so like 3 months and then Corona, right?
Yeah, it was nobody told me that it will be that way. But it has been a very also very interesting moment. It's different to to take a conclusion about what happened right now. I think we will need more time to understand better. But in Barcelona, it was a very interesting moment in which we tried to get advantage of the situation, despite all the problems that we suddenly had to face. But the most important thing in Barcelona that we had an agenda really clear before Corona, so it was for us a good opportunity to boost some of the actions that we had planned, not exactly in that way, but more or less. So it was a very interesting moment to try different things, to apply a lot of tactical actions that allowed us to step up to and to reach the goals that we had before defined.
Exactly, like the pandemic helped some cities to speed up the
Yeah,
development and the transformation.
it was that way in Barcelona. So it was a moment that allowed us to get a new position in order to be closer for the final transformation that we are working right now.
Yeah, and Xavi, as you as a chief architect, what are the main objectives and characters of current Barcelona transformation?
Yeah, Barcelona, in my opinion, has had three key moments, three key historical moments if we are talking about urban transformation. The first one was at the middle of 19th century with the Cerdà plan. You may well known probably.
You can brief the listeners a bit about it if you want.
Yeah, yes. I'm talking about 1859, the middle of 19th century. Barcelona was still within the medieval walls. So Cerdà defined which was the plan to unfold the city after the walls was demolished. So it was a very important plan. It has defined the fate, the destiny of the city right now. But it was a very important plan because the plan defined, in one hand, the structure of the city with the main axis that connected the city, the old city, with the different villages that already existed in the area of Barcelona, but also connecting the city with the territory. So it was a very visionary plan that had the capacity to understand a new scale for the new city. And also was a very important plan because define a new order, a new urban order with this very characteristical regular square grid or around the city that our listeners probably may know better. But was a very important moment where the city changed its scale and define a new order. The second one, and we are right now in the 80s of the last century, 20th century, at the city, after a moment where the city of Barcelona had a very fast growing during the 50s, 60s, and 70s, with a lot of immigration coming from mainly the other areas of Spain. So a fast growing in the city, and a city with a lot of structural and services problems. So the project of the 80s that we usually explain like the Olympic project, because it ends with the Olympic Games in 1992. It was a very important effort that made the city to get a lot of new facilities, public spaces, to generate a new restructure process all around the city. So it was the second moment. And the third moment, I would say, that is right now. So you may notice that this two first moments was more about the physical transformation, in increasing areas, occupying more space in the territory, and also transforming physical conditions of the city. But right now we are talking about how to reprogram Barcelona. So Barcelona has practically occupied all its territory. So we need that, we could say a city completed. So we need to improve the conditions of the already existed city, Barcelona. Despite, it's true that the transformation during the 80s means a very important effort and allow Barcelona to reach we could say a condition of a short distance city. When we talk currently about the 15-minute city, I always say Barcelona is already a 15-minute city, more or less. There was made a very important effort, just getting more public facilities, new public spaces, more housing, but it's not enough. We still have a city with some environmental problems. We have, unfortunately, too much high air pollution level, air acoustic pollution level also. So we need to change the way we use our city and the way that the city works itself. So this is I would say the third main transformation: how to reprogram how the city works. Yes, to recover, which is the original spirit of city, that it must be a better place to live, a good place for a daily life, and the most important thing, a good place to live for everyone. So this is another important issue in Barcelona. The idea is not to improve only some areas, only for some neighborhoods or for some profile of neighborhoods. The idea is how are we able to improve the life for everyone all around the city. So I would say this is the main goal, and the current transformation is it's about how are we able to transform the city in a systemical way. So we are not talking about some big transformations, but located in a very specific area. We are talking about a global systemical transformations, probably with small size interventions, but distributed all around the city.
If we focus on Barcelona, what are the main challenges that the city is facing?
Yeah, I would say that there are two main challenges right now. The first one is housing. We have a very important problem with affordable housing. The rental prices rise to a very difficult levels for a lot of people in Barcelona. It is because the market, but also because the tourism pressure, specifically in some central areas. And it's also it's a problem because till 5 years ago, nobody did nothing about public policies in housing in Barcelona. So the main effort with the new mayor, Ada Colau, has been how are we able to increase a new public housing stock. So more or less the data is in 2015, there was about 5,000 public houses in Barcelona, and we are working in it 12,000 at the end of 2022. So we are doubling the amount of public housing in the city, because it's the main thing.
Xavi, public housing, if you explain to the listeners, you mean with public housing?
Yeah. What do I mean with public housing? Yes, the property is public. So there are rental housing, but the owner is the city council that manage this stock of housing with organization just to create to do that. So this is the only way that have a public institution like the city council to provide more affordable housing for people, just to increase this stock of public housing. Yeah, and I think this is the first challenge that we are facing. And if the people is not able to live at their city, you have nothing to do with anything else. So, and the second one is the environmental conditions of the city, and it has to be both in a health way. We need to improve the health conditions of public space, and talked before about air pollution, acoustic pollution, but it's also a question about climate change and how the city is able to adaptate to the different problems that are already here. I'm talking about higher level temperatures in summer, heavy raining concentrated in a really short period of time. So we need to improve in a physical way also the city, to reprogram this public space in city in order to be able to face these changes, these climate changes. And this is what we are trying to do by different program transformations.
Yeah, and if we go back to the first challenge, Xavi, like you mentioned that the city is providing public housing. Is there any policy that limit how people put the rent when they rent out their houses? So like you put, how to say, a roof or a line. Okay, you cannot max rent for more than this cost.
No, there is not, and this is not a responsibility of the local government. So this is another way to improve conditions that the local governments push to the state government in Spain, who has the capacity to change this kind of laws in order to limit, to generate a limit of rental prices. So it will be the best way, but well, there are, I think there are still discussions in the central government about that question.
Yeah. And how is it now? Like after the pandemic, are people coming to visit Barcelona, or how is the situation?
Yeah, I would say that we are practically recovering the same level of tourist activity in our city. Probably not so high like before Corona, but it's an increasing process that you can realize when you go out to the central public spaces like La Ramblas or another like this. So we are recovering, but we are also trying how is working what we did during this period, and not only during the finish of the lockdown, but also the years before. So we are working also that this kind of come back to the normality, we could say, probably being another way in some different issues like public space and mobility above all. We have a problem right now that the user of public transport has decreased because of Corona. So it's one of the most important challenges right now, not only for the local government, also the metropolitan and regional, to recover the confidence in public space for everyone. It's a very, very important question for us.
Yeah. Do you also get that the numbers of cars increased more than before, like during the COVID and after COVID? The people drive instead of taking public transportation.
Yeah, during the lockdown, it was that way. A lot of people, a lot more than before, people change public transport by cars. But right now, it's more or less the same level. We have recovered the 90% of cars movements in the city, but the public transport hasn't reached the same level than before. So we have the hope that if we are able to recover the people using the public transport, probably the use of cars will decrease again.
And are you doing something when it comes to like telling people, okay, take the public transportation again, it's fine, or no, you're waiting for the general situation that okay, the pandemic will like end officially somehow, and people will realize, okay, I can go back to the normal and take public transportation?
Well, no, there are some different communication campaigns launched by the city council in order to recover this confidence. I usually take the train and metro in Barcelona, so there are people that it's coming back, and we are trying also to invite people to change to another ways. So it's very important to highlight that the use of bike has really increased in the last year in Barcelona. It was not a high level of use of the bikes. It was about the 2% of different movements, but it increased from the 2 to the 4% of people using bikes. And in the different bike lanes that we built during the lockdown, has been really successful lanes, because there are a lot of people understanding that we are trying to make a very important effort to improve the physical conditions for bikes in the city, and people is, yes, I think every day is increasing people that prefer bikes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like you almost double the number of 2% to 4%.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's true. It's not a high initial percent, but
But
it's
still,
important.
yeah, of course. And are these bike lanes temporary or no? You will keep it
Yeah,
like
we have keep it
permanently.
all of them. So it was a tactical intervention at the beginning, because we don't have enough money to do it in a structural way, but they have been finally finished in a structural way. So they are all there. We are talking about 30 kilometers that we did in a month, more or less. It
Wow.
was a
Yeah.
very intense moment that way. Yeah.
I can imagine. But well done. It's a great step actually.
Yeah, and it was made in very important streets of the city, very structural streets in the city. One of them is Carrera-Go. Carrera-Go is one of the main streets of the Champlat. It's the street that crosses from the north to the south side of the city. We could say it's practically the last highway, the last urban highway in Barcelona. It had 6 car lanes before. Before Corona, the first action we did is to transform one of these lanes into a bus lane. And after that, we transform another one into a bike lane. So we reduced 2 car lanes, giving priority, of course, to public transport and to bike, and reducing the cars in this street.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear this actually. Well done, really. Giving back the city to people.
Yeah. This is we also talk about the conquer of the asphalt.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we have in Barcelona, we have to take into account more than 50% of public space is occupied by cars, by car lanes, and by parking lanes. So if we want to improve the quality of the public space, want to improve the environmental conditions, and to increase the green areas in our city, that is a very important challenge for us. We need to conquer the asphalt, and we need to balance the space that are actually using a low efficiency machine like this car, in order to give more room for people. That is the most user that we have in public space.
Yeah. And I'm also like now when I hear you talk about like the second challenge about the environment and now we're talking about giving city back to people. It's so interesting because not so many city realize that this is we have to go this way. I mean it takes a lot of brave leadership. So is it difficult for you as a chief architect to stand and say no, we have to fix this for the environment? Is it easy for you?
In one hand, I would say yes, not because it's easy, but because we have currently in Barcelona a sort of politicians really convinced of that. So we have, starting by the mayor at Ecology, but also with the deputy mayor of Ecology, people that is really convinced and have the ideas really clear that we need to do that for people in our city. So in that way, I feel, I would say, powered by
Yeah.
my politicians, but it's true, it's not easy. So it's very important, which is the participatory processes that you need to organize and to give the importance that they have in order to make everyone easy to understand what we try to do, how it will be, the timing, and so on. And I will talk about participatory process. I think it's
Exactly.
very important, a very important issue. But it's also true that when we are talking about this deep and great transformation in a city, what we are doing, in fact, is trying to change the behaviors of people. So it's a cultural problem, or it's a cultural challenge. So I think probably normal that there are that the different transformations open some discussions and complainings of people. I think we need to understand that it's normal, and we need to manage that, not just to avoid or to make like it doesn't exist. No, it exists. It's I think it's part of the process of transformation.
Exactly. Yeah, I think this is what we need to respect and understand, that it's part of the change.
Yeah.
As there are people are happy with this change, there are some people are against this change, and we need to deal with this and also to make them part of this journey.
Indeed.
Not only, like as you said, ignore or don't listen or pretend that they are not there.
Yeah. Okay, completely agree. Yeah.
And we will talk more about this, but before that, I would love to hear from you. Like now, I need to take up the opportunity. Tell us about the Barcelona Superblock.
Barcelona Superblock is a, I would say it's an easy idea. So, but let me talk first before about why Superblock appears in Barcelona. So, a lot of people that come to Barcelona to learn about Superblock, the first question is why Superblock started in Barcelona. So I said before, Barcelona is in fact is a small city. It's a city with only 100 square kilometers, with 1.6 million people. So it's a high density city. It's a compact urban fabric. And it's a city that has a very important lack of public space, of green areas mainly. So we don't have big parks. We only have small and medium-sized parks. We don't have big parks like another important capitals in the world. So I used to say that Barcelona, in fact, is a city of streets. So the main public space that we have to work with is the street. So if we want to increase our green areas, which we have a very important lack of them, we have an average of 6 square meters per inhabitant. That is quite less than the WHO recommends, that are about 10 square meters by inhabitant. So we have a very important lack, but we even have neighborhoods with less than 2 square meters per inhabitant. So if we need to increase green areas, if we want to improve the environmental conditions, if we want to make a more social public space, we only have streets. We need to transform streets in our city. And this is when Superblocks appears and makes sense. Because Superblock, the idea of Superblock, if we have a regular grid, a regular square grid like the Sardat design in the 19th century, and actually all the streets of this grid works at the same way with a lot of cars on every street. The idea is how are we able to reorganize mobility, giving priority to public transport, giving priority to biking and walking. So reaching a more efficient mobility in order to make it in better environmental conditions, but also occupying less room than that it occupies right now, to be able to free up some of these streets to give it to people, to give it to the green, I would say. So more or less the idea is that one of 3 streets in the Champs Sardat can become a green axis, we say. So it's a street where there is no mobility passing through. There is only a place to stay, I would say. So the idea is not only to generate these inner spaces in the center of a Superblock. The idea is how to transform all the streets of the city. One of them to become this green axis, but the other one increasing the room for public space and for bike, like we told before in Korea. So the idea is that Superblock had a first stage between 2015, 2019 with the first experience in Barcelona. There are 2 very well known, I guess, like Superblock in Poblenou. It was the first one, and the second one in Sant Antoni. It was 2 of them were, I could say, small size area of Superblock. The result has been absolutely positive. It was a very successful experience all around the world, recognized. The data are really clear. We have been able to reduce the air pollution, have been able to reduce the cars passing through these areas. We have increased the commercial activity in these areas. We have increased the public events in the public space. After this period, when we launched at the end of 2019, so before Corona, was a new stage for Superblock that tried to scale up the idea, shifting from small actions to a new scenario where the idea is that the whole city of Barcelona can become a Superblock. So the new scenario, what defines is a new, we could say, a new structure of new green axes that are these streets that we are able to free up from cars to generate a new, we say, environmental infrastructure all around the city. So the idea is how to scale up the idea of Superblock, and coming back the idea that I told you before, that we want to transform the whole city, not only make a kind of oasis with a very good quality, but the rest of the city is in a worse condition. So this is the new stage that we are working on. We started identifying a priority area of intervention. This is the central area of the city, the central Eixample Cerdà, which is the area that have the highest air pollution levels all around the city. So we are just working on, and we are expecting finishing the first 4 projects the next January in 2022. That will be the first 4 green axes of the new stage of Superblock. And the idea is also to generate 4 new squares just in the junction areas between these green axes. So this is the way that we are trying to transform a street in a passing through space in a place to stay, to sit down in a bench, to be able to be in silent talking with people.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say to you is like congratulations for making this change happen. I know it's not easy, but in Barcelona you made it.
Yeah, there has been a lot of people working on it, of course. I think we have we are lucky to have very good teams from the urban space design and from participatory processes. Of course, it's very interesting because the first experience in Pamplona in Superblock, it was a very difficult moment with a lot of complaining people that didn't understand what was that kind of transformation. But we had the fortune that the politicians at that moment were able to resist and to defend the idea. And we also have the fortune to have very good technicians that work really hard in the design processes, but also in the manage with people to generate a new participatory process. And the change has been radically. So from a first moment with a lot of complaints and doubts coming from the people, the social perception of the project right now is an absolutely success. Everyone or around the neighborhoods of the city is asking for a Superblock in their neighborhood, in their street. So what our problem right now is how are we able to reach the whole city?
This is so cool, so fun. But tell me, Xavi, tell me more about how did you involve people in this transformation? Like how did you reach out to them, communicate with them? They were part of the plan, or no, they are just in the end and say, yes, okay, fine, we go for this plan? Like this more co-creation with the community.
Yeah, in Barcelona, we have participation regulation that it means that every urban transformation must generate its specific participatory process. But it's true that Superblock has a specific one. So the idea of Superblock is to engage people from the very beginning of the process. So what we do is to generate, we call the promotional group. So it's a working group that it's integrated by different stakeholders and people interested in the project from the very beginning. So this is the group who generates the action plan. It's true, the group doesn't start from zero. So of course there are some technical decisions that comes from the city council, because there are very which are the streets that need to have a bus lane, which are the streets that we are able to free up from cars. So there are a structural first decision coming from a technical process work inside the city council. But from that point is this promotional group who works how will be the streets, to identify which are the needs, which are the problems, which are the different, I don't know what to say, everything. So it's very, very important. So we always work with 3 different levels. This is the public technician level with the participatory processes. And we also try always, I think is the main idea of this kind of urban transformations is to be transparent. So to be able to generate all the data, all the information that allows people to understand well what is going on. Sometimes the problems is not about to be against the proposal. The problem is about don't have don't know, don't understand. It's nice to understand. So it's very important. And there is another very important tool that Barcelona started to use, I think 3 years ago. This is a very important digital tool. It's a digital platform called Visit&nbsp. It's an open source platform that allows the city council to manage all the participatory processes in the city, not only the urban transformation processes, but also the participatory budget. So the last year there has been a process to decide, I don't remember exactly the amount of euros, it was, I don't know, few million of euros that has been decided by people through this digital tool like the CDM. So it's a very powerful digital tool that it's been very useful right now in the city to manage and to make it easier for everyone to get involved in this kind of processes.
And if we talk about the first 2 blocks, was it easy to convince people that this is good?
No. No. When I wasn't there, but of course, most of the people in my team were there, and we are usually talk about what happened and how they try to improve. And it was no easy, but probably it was good that was that way, because it made everyone to realize that they needed to improve the way that we were doing the things. So of course, the first Superblock means a very important transformation, never taken before in the city. It was like a pioneer, open way in front of them to the unknown area. So I think after the years that it needed to be that way. But the most important thing is the city council reacted in a good way and was able to adapt the processes in order to make it easier for everyone and to make it more unstable for people. So it was no easy, but I think it made that to improve a lot the methodology and the project.
And Xavi, do you think, like, because now we have some different concept, like 15-minute city, 1-minute city, 1,000-minute city, Superblock. Is Superblock Barcelona applicable to other cities, or no? It's very special just for Barcelona. What can we learn? Let's say, like, what can Stockholm learn?
I think it's perfectly applicable to another cities. I always, let me just to into brackets, just to, I always prefer short distances city than 15 and 12. This is idea that I learned from Jaime Lerner. She used to talk about the short distances city. It doesn't matter if 1 minute, 5 or 15, I don't know. But I think the idea of Superblock, so the idea of we need a more efficient mobility, it's perfectly applicable for every city around the world. Understanding that the shape of the different urban fabrics are different. I just came back yesterday from Copenhagen, and in the new development that there is ongoing in Nordhavn area, this former harbor area just is transformed in a working and residential area. It's a super block. So it's very interesting to see that they have started with only a few streets that are connecting the new area with public transport, with a new metro line, aerial metro line, and with bike lines. But that's just the necessary streets to the mobility. The rest of the streets are for pedestrian and for people. So I think it's an idea that works everywhere, and all the cities that are trying to generate this kind of urban functions and urban fabric, it's always working quite well, because people suddenly realize that they are able to recover this new feeling with their cities that probably we lost somehow, during this industrial idea to cities in the last decades.
Yeah, exactly. So now the future of, or the next step of Barcelona Superblock is that you want to transform as many blocks in Barcelona as possible, right? Do you have like a plan, an official plan for that?
Yeah, we have a plan that identify which will be the new green axis that will build this new environmental infrastructure. So what we are defining right now is which will be the next stages that will allow us to develop this idea. We are working not only from the center of the city, we have also ongoing different projects in different neighborhoods that have been activated precisely by the participatory processes in different neighborhoods in the northern side of the city, in the neighborhood of La Sagrera. So the idea is to pop up different interventions with a general plan that has been already defined by the city. So we have, which will be this new future vision. What we are managing is the different areas that will develop this new idea.
That's amazing. Do you have like a time frame, like by, let's say, 2030, we have this numbers of block?
Yeah, we have the idea is to finish the interventions in this central area of the Champla, the central area of Barcelona, the Champla, which have been defined 21 axes and 21 squares. I told before, the 4 first ones will be developed to the next year. And the idea is to finish these 21 new green axes by 2030. This is in the central area, but not only this area. The idea is, while we are working in this central area because it's the worst environmental conditions area, we will be working at the same time in other neighborhoods of the city.
Yeah, that's amazing. I wish you all the good luck with this huge transformation. It's very important as well.
Thank you. I think it's like the moment that where the cities started to put pavement on the streets. So it's not a project; it's a process.
Exactly.
So we need to understand we are in transition. Our cities right now are we don't have much time. We needed to go faster, of course, but it's a process. So we need to start acting right now, and this is what we try to do. So for us, it was important to generate a new vision that was able to generate the general strategy. But after that, just to start with the projects and start with the transformation. I think this is the most important.
Go for actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. And also, I know there's one more very interesting project that I would love to hear from you about, because I work a lot with child-friendly cities, with kids, and planning cities for children as well. And I know in Barcelona you have a project. It's like, if I translate it to English, it's called "Let's Protect Schools." So please tell us more about, like, what is it about, the background?
Yes, it's for us. I would say was one of the most important programs that absolutely linked with Superblock, because we are talking about public space transformation. So they are absolutely linked. That's the same strategy. But the idea, it comes from our mayor that, and it had started, unfortunately started when at the middle of 2019, a kid was killed by a motorbike in front of the door of his school. So from our mayor came the idea that we needed to act in the surrounding areas of the school. So this is the point that made us to start this program. And the idea is that we need to improve the conditions in these surrounding areas of all the schools of the city. And it's a very powerful strategic, because in Barcelona we have almost 600 schools all around the city. So with a very well distribution all around the city. So it's like a acupuncture map with different points. So if you are able to improve these 600 areas, you will be able to improve the entire city. So it's a very strategical vision. And there is another important question. When you are improving the conditions in front of the school, so you are reducing the car lane, you are reducing the speed of the car, very, very important. No one's complained about that. So it's a very important. So and now we also share it with some partners in Paris, from the City Council of Paris, that they have also a similar program. So it's a very strategical tool, the school, because you are able to improve not only the conditions for kids and their families, but also the conditions for the whole city. And no one is able to complain about that you are improving the conditions in front of the school. So the program has basically four main goals. That is just to improve the public space, to increase the area of the public space. We always say that we are trying to generate a new square in front of every school door in the city, increasing the area, introducing urban furniture, so improving the conditions and the comfortability of these spaces. We are improving the security around the schools, reducing the car lanes, reducing the speed, very important. So the limit speed in front of a school in Barcelona will be 30 kilometers per hour. So it's very, very, very important. The third one is, how are we able to increase the visibility of schools? And it's true, and our mayor always says that you are in a city, you are always able to see a parking lot because there are a big P with a blue background, and you are able to see it from a kilometer far away. So,
true.
But you are not able to identify that you are crossing with your car in front of a school. So we have create a new design. It's a kind of painting area when you are entering to a school, a street school. It's an orange one that is very visible. So we are painting it in front of every school. And the last goal is, we are creating collaborative processes with the schools in order that to engage kids and professors and also families, just to decide which are the painting in front of the school, the games that we able, the urban furniture. So it's about that kind of process that allows us to improve public spaces, but also to generate this new relation between the school and public space. And it's very useful because meanwhile are working in this kind of projects, there appear some opportunities. So we are collaborating with some schools of design of the city that are developing different European programs, investigating in new urban furniture. So this is a very good test bed area, this new obtaining from the asphalt to test new urban furniture, new elements, which is a very important challenge in our city, because when you think about the urban furniture in the street, you realize that it has been designed to be able to resist car impact. So we always find hard materials like concrete or metal, where we are removing cars from the streets. I think there is a very good opportunity to get innovation, this kind of designs, entering new materials, new solutions.
That's amazing. And when did you start with this program?
We started the January 2020 with the first school. So there have been 2 years till now. We have act already in 105 schools. So it has been a really fast project, and we are expecting to reach 200 schools by 2023. So it will mean one of each 3 schools in the school will be improved in 3 years. So the idea that only 4 more years we will be able to improve all the schools around the city. We are talking about low cost intervention. Of course, there are tactical actions. So they are really easy, but we think really, really useful. And the feedback from the families and the schools, it's absolutely positive, even more in this situation of COVID, that they needed more room in front of the doors, just to wait for the kids after the schools or make different activities.
So the program, is it online so we can read more about it?
Yeah.
That's great. So I can link it to. And by the way, like this huge transformation, it needs a lot of departments to work together in the municipality, right? Not only like urban planning.
Yeah, of course. Yes, we have Barcelona City Council. There are 5 main areas. So we are in a urban ecology area that integrate our area, that is chief architect and urban model area, also mobility, and also environmental, environmental conditions area and green area. So we are all together under the same big area, we would say. So what we are doing is to generate these internal groups, yes, with people from the three teams working together from the beginning. And this is very important because there are some important challenges while transforming public space, increasing the green areas. So we need a very deep implication by the three areas. So we are working together, yes.
And also like from stories of Barcelona, because in this podcast talk about smart city, and I love to hear from people what do they think about smart city, and I love to take the opportunity and ask you, how do you imagine a smart city, or how it's not imagine, how do you define a smart city?
Yeah, I would say that the smart condition is not about technology or digital tools. The smart condition is more about people. So how people understand and live the city and take aware that they are living in a city that needs some different questions. And of course, how the people is able to use these technological possibilities. I think we have a big risk that if we believe that the technical solutions will be an objective by itself. So I think it's very important to understand that we need to define which are the objectives that we need in our cities and use them, the new digital and technological possibilities to reach these goals, not to make them just a goal by themselves. So I think this is more important. So I think it's very important to use in a right way the technology. For instance, in Superblock, for us, it's very important to get data about what is happening in the public space with the transformations. So we are sensorizing the city in order to get information from this. I think it's essential to have that knowledge, but the important is not this action to be smart, have a lot of screen just showing you which is happening everywhere. The idea is to generate this knowledge about what is happening. I hope these transformations not are only data, but are also impacting in people. So the idea is not only have data about how the public space is being transformed, by how the changes in public space is improving or not the people living there. So if they are living more years, if the health conditions are being improved, if there are better levels in the school by kids, or if the economy is increasing or not is increasing. So I would say that the smart condition finally depends on people, not only on technology.
Okay, so for you it's more about people than technology. So I'm really happy to hear the different stories from Barcelona, and hopefully one day we visit Barcelona and learn more and explore more, because I think you're leading this transformation. You're, how to say, an interesting destination, not only for tourism but also for urban planners to see what are the future cities.
Yeah,
could be look like.
You will be of course welcome, and it's interesting because Barcelona, and we share this idea inside our team that probably Barcelona is not a city referent of a specific historical period. It's not a city reference in the Renaissance or in the medieval area, but Barcelona has a very good architecture and a very good urban experiences of the different historical periods around the world. So in Barcelona, you can find from the Roman temple and the ancient city founded by Romans till the different medieval, very interesting buildings, till the more contemporary transformations and architecture. So I think it's a city that has been able to reach good practices, a good experience of each people.
Yeah, and I think the number of visitors, it's a kind of what do you call it, recipe that the city has different experience or invites for different experience and not only one type of experience.
It's true. It's true.
In the podcast, it's important for me also to show the personal side of people that working with city development, because it's also, when we say cities for people, it's also about us, that we develop ourselves and so on. So this is the last section of the episode and gonna be more personal questions. I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
So the first question, you as a chief architect, what are the main challenges that you're facing in your job?
Well, I could say many of them, and not only the biggest one, but probably I think the most important, and that I think this is my commitment, is to generate a general strategy for the whole city. So when you have so many projects ongoing, and the most important thing is to be able to identify a general strategy, to be coherent in every project that you make, to generate the same design criteria all around the city. So this is what we tried from the beginning, my work with this new vision for the whole city of Barcelona. Also defining a new public space criteria for the new streets. I think it's very, very interesting because this new stage of Superblock allow us to define what we understand that needs to be the new idea of a street in our city. And it's very, 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 very interesting. We are talking about environmental infrastructure, social, dynamic public space in the street. It must be a space of innovation and new solutions, must be understood as a place that is able to integrate the heritage existing there before the transformation. So this is what I'm in charge, yes, to define this general vision, to have the capacity to generate this order in the different processes. And I would say that there's also another very important challenge for me is just to make the teams believe that what we are doing is worth to do. So it's very important because it's not easy. So I must admit, it's not easy. And sometimes when you are working so close to some problems, you have the risk to lose your perspective. So I have also the mission to give this coherence, not this to everyone, and to push them just to believe to that. So I usually try to communicate a lot about which are the main ideas about the Barcelona, like we are doing right now.
Exactly. And how was it for you? Like, if we talk from leadership perspective, when you joined the team, then it became COVID, and then you couldn't meet them physically. Was it difficult for you to interact with the team and like to feel that you're part of it, a part of a team?
I don't think so. I also think that I am very lucky because we have teams with people that really believe with the public function in the city, and they are very good professionals, architects, engineering, environmental technicians. So they made it really easy. I must admit, it was really easy by their side because obviously it was difficult because the distance and the screen wasn't the best way to coordinate and to generate new projects. But despite that, we were able to do a lot of things during the year by lockdown that we talked before, with a lot of tactical actions, yes, giving advantage of the situation. So I must admit it was difficult because the situation, but the relation with the teams, they made it really, really easy.
That's great to hear. And do you have time for hobbies, or you're focused on developing Barcelona?
I don't have enough time for hobbies. So it's very, very difficult to find it. But I have just one that I try to maintain. So
Tell
I
me.
love walking, hiking in mountain and every Saturday morning, early in the morning, and try to go out to the mountain and to walk for an hour, for a couple of hours at least, just to recover my
From the working week.
yeah, the peace with the planet. I don't know why. And to get perspective, it's very important just to get
Yeah,
distance from your everyday life in order to have just a couple of hours to make a kind of reset of the week.
yeah. You do it in early in the morning. Do you like the city when there are no people?
I like always city. There are different moments, but well, yeah, when there is early in the morning, it's true that it's a very special moment. One, not before everything starts up. So I like, yes. I usually get up really early in the morning, so it's
Like what time?
6 a.m. every day. So it's not a big effort for me to do the same on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, Xavi, we are in the end of the episode. There are only two more questions. And the first one I will be asking you, what are your three takeaway messages to our listeners?
Yeah, let's see. I think it's like a statement. I don't know. The best city we have is the city that already exists. And I think it's very important to remember that, because I think we don't need new cities, we don't need new developments. Our real challenge is to improve the existing city and be able to improve the city for everyone living there, and try to reduce the inequalities existing in our cities. This is very true message in one, but I think the focus of the urban planning action should be on the existing city, not trying to generate new cities in the middle of the desert on some kind of basis. So I used to say that the best city we have is the city that we already have, and the idea that the city is what we do together. See, a city is not a building in front of another building. A city is not a man or a woman living near to another one. Is what we are able to do all together. So this sense of community is the most important in order to make sense to every urban planning action. So every new urban project should ask itself if it's able to generate this community dimension of the city. Is it inviting people to do things together? Of other side, it's separating people between them. That I think it shouldn't do that.
Yeah, great takeaway messages. Thank you so much. And the last question is going to be you asking us, what is your question to us?
It's not easy. Yes, like I am really passionate about walking. I would like everyone that ask themselves if you are able to walk in your city in a comfortable way all around. So it's like a test in order to understand if your city is working good or not. If you are able, ask yourself if you are able to walk around your city in a comfortable way.
Thank you so much, and hopefully talk to you again.
Thank you so much, It has been a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. You learned something new and also got inspired by the guest. Don't forget to share the episode on your social media and recommend it to people you think they are really interested in this topic. Thank you so much again for giving your valuable time to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif. Keep up the good work. Keep loving cities.